Welcome to MatheNatic. In this video, we'll discuss a harder exam type question based on the geometric sequence. The question reads as follows. The first two terms of a geometric sequence are negative t squared minus 6t minus 9. That is our first term. And the second term is t cubed plus 9t squared plus 27t plus 27 divided by 2. And this represents the second term. The question is, determine the values of t for which the series will converge. Now for a convergent series, the ratio needs to be between -1 and +1. And we can find the ratio by saying term 2 divided by term 1. But just by looking at this, it looks like we are going to create quite a messy fraction. So before we just dive into dividing term 2 by term 1 to find the ratio, let us inspect each term individually. And I'm going to start with term 2, which is a little bit more complicated. So term 2 is a cubic expression in our numerator. And what I recognize is that this cubic expression I can factorize. Now we practice this factorization just before we do calculus. So let me run you through the steps on how I go from the first numerator into these two brackets. First, I need to test values of t that will make the expression equals to 0. So I put in, for example, 1, and I see that won't make the expression 0. Then I take -1, and so forth. And the value that I landed on here is -3. So if I replace t everywhere here with -3, then this whole numerator would become equals to 0. So t was equals to -3. Therefore, t plus 3 is a factor of this expression. So that's where the first bracket comes from. Now let me show you how you find that second bracket. So we have t plus 3, and we ask ourselves, what do I need to multiply t with in order to get to t cubed? So I need to multiply t with t squared, and that leads me to t cubed. Then I ask myself, what do I need to multiply 3 with to get to 27? And that means I need to multiply with 9. So that is how you get the first term and the last term in the second set of brackets. For the middle term, we need to do a little bit more work. So we're trying to create squares to get to 9t squared. So we are building 9t squared. So we say t times mt is mt squared. And 3 times t squared is plus 3t squared. Now can you see we can remove the t squares everywhere? Because we're trying to solve for m. And if I move the 3 to the right hand side, I have m is equals to 6. So this middle term then is 6t. So you have quite a bit of factorization to do in order to simplify the second term. But if I look at the second term and I look at the first term, I see that this set of brackets has similar qualities than term 1. The only difference is term 1 has different signs everywhere. So for term 1, I have factorized out a -1. And when I take out a -1, I have t squared plus 6t plus 9, which is also our set of brackets in term 2. Now what we can try and do is find the ratio. So the ratio is term 2 divided by term 1. And another way to write this is saying term 2 over 1 multiplied with 1 over term 2. And this looks like something that we have learned in grade 10. What I'm trying to avoid is a compounded fraction. That is why I split it up like that. So term 2 is t plus 3 in brackets times t squared plus 6t plus 9 over 2. And I'm going to multiply it with 1 over t1. And can you see that these sets of brackets will cancel out? So we have t plus 3 times 1, which is t plus 3. And we have 2 times -1, which is -2. Now we need to find values for r, or actually values of t, for which the series would converge. So the ratio is between -1 plus 1 for a convergent series. And we have this compounded inequality that we need to solve. So how we do that is we multiply everywhere by -2. And if I do that, on the left, I have -1 multiplied with -2, and that becomes 2. And on the right, I have 1 multiplied with -2, and that becomes -2. So therefore, we have t plus 3 is between 2 and -2. Next, I move the 3 to both sides. So on the right-hand side, it is -2 minus 3, and it becomes -5. And on the left-hand side, it is 2 minus 3. So 2 minus 3 is equals to -1. So t needs to be between -1 and -5. And it's good practice in paper 1 to write this in the correct order. And what I mean by correct order is you always have your lowest value on the left, and that is -5, and your higher value on the right. So imagine that you are presenting information on a number line. That is why we want to change this inequality into the correct order. So for this series to converge, t needs to be between -5 and -1. Thank you for watching. Support us by liking and subscribing to MatheNatic. Check out our Digistore for math study notes, with free downloads for statistics and financial math. Follow the link in the video description.